It all begins with something almost invisible to the naked eye. A tiny, gleaming, permanent magnet. It's so small you could easily overlook it, yet its power is immense. This unassuming object is the silent force behind much of our modern world. It powers the vibration in your smartphone, the motors in electric cars, the wind turbines that generate clean energy, and even the speakers that bring music to life. But right now, this very magnet casts a long, dark shadow over India's booming economy. The country's rapid growth, its dreams of becoming a global manufacturing powerhouse, all hinge on this single irreplaceable component. Few people realize it, but India is on the brink of a crisis that could halt its progress in its tracks. The threat is silent, but it's growing every day. The clock is ticking. July 31st, 2025, is circled in red on calendars across the industry. That's the day everything could change. This isn't just a prediction, it's a stark warning, echoing through boardrooms and factory floors alike. The future of India's entire automotive industry, its factories, its workers, its ambitions, now depends on a single component that India neither manufactures nor can easily buy. China, the undisputed global master of these rare earth magnets, is tightening its grip and shutting off the supply to the world, including India. This isn't a negotiation table where deals can be struck. It's a high-stakes power play, and India finds itself caught in the crossfire, with little leverage. The consequences are not theoretical. They are real, tangible, and coming at us faster than anyone expected. Picture a massive Indian car factory, thousands of workers, robotic arms moving in perfect sync, shiny new cars rolling off the assembly line every minute. Now, imagine all of that coming to a sudden, silent halt, not with a dramatic crash but with an eerie, unsettling silence. The reason? A missing magnet no bigger than a coin, but absolutely essential. Without it, the entire operation grinds to a standstill. The entire assembly line is paralyzed. Workers stand idle, machines are frozen, and the silence is deafening. India's stockpile of imported magnets is running dangerously low. Every day, the reserves shrink, and the sense of urgency grows. We're just over a year away from what industry insiders are calling Day Zero, the day the assembly lines stop and the silence takes over. But this crisis is about more than just magnets. It's about the hidden dependencies that quietly underpin our lives, our industries, and our economies. It's about how something so small can have such a massive impact. For decades, we trusted global supply chains to deliver what we needed when we needed it. That trust has now been shattered. The rules of the game have changed, and the world is waking up to a new reality. The question now is clear. Is India prepared to adapt to these new rules, or will it become the first major casualty in the escalating global resource wars? The answer to that question will be written by July 2025, when the world will see whether India can rise to the challenge or be brought to its knees by a missing magnet. The countdown has already begun. Every second brings us closer to a turning point. The silence from boardrooms and government offices is deafening, but make no mistake, the storm is gathering, and its impact will be felt by all. These are rare earth magnets, specifically neodymium magnets or NdFeB. They might look unremarkable, but they're at the heart of modern technology. They're the strongest permanent magnets ever made, enabling the creation of smaller, lighter, and far more efficient motors than ever before. From high-speed trains to wind turbines, these magnets are the unsung heroes powering innovation. You'll find them everywhere, inside electric vehicles, power steering systems, airbags, and even the tiny motors that adjust your car seat. They're also crucial in smartphones, headphones, and countless other devices we use daily. China's dominance in this field wasn't a stroke of luck. It was the result of a carefully executed, 3-decade-long strategy that changed the global landscape. Back in the 1980s, Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping famously declared, "The Middle East has oil, China has rare earths." This vision set the stage for China's rise as a rare earth superpower. China seized control of the entire value chain, from mining raw minerals to producing finished magnets, using aggressive subsidies, government support, and lax environmental regulations to outcompete and undercut global rivals. By the early 2000s, China had achieved a near-total monopoly, producing over 90% of the world's rare earth magnets. No other country came close. They mastered the complex, energy-intensive process of refining and alloying rare earths, skills that take years to develop and perfect. Other countries, including India, may have rare earth minerals in the ground, but they lack the industrial capacity, technical expertise, and infrastructure to turn those minerals into high-performance magnets at scale. For years, the world ignored this growing vulnerability, dismissing warnings about over-reliance on a single supplier for such a critical resource. Automakers and electronics giants sourced their magnets from China because it was cheap, easy, and reliable, until it wasn't. Now, that invisible engine of global industry has become a powerful geopolitical weapon, and India finds itself directly in the line of fire. The bill for this short-sightedness has finally come due. forcing countries to scramble for alternatives and rethink their entire supply chains. In late 2024, China announced a ban on rare earth magnet technology exports, with strict controls on the magnets themselves, effective July 2025. Exporters now need special licenses, nearly impossible for strategic competitors like India. For India's auto industry, this is a death sentence. Maruti Suzuki, India's largest car maker, relies on Chinese magnets for every vehicle. When their inventory runs out, production stops. No alternatives, no quick fixes. The crisis isn't just about EVs. It affects all cars, petrol, diesel, and electric. Every vehicle is packed with these tiny, powerful magnets. The ripple effect: component suppliers lose orders, the ecosystem collapses. China's ban targets both technology and product, blocking other nations from building their own capacity. It's strategic checkmate. Indian automakers can't re-engineer vehicles or build a magnet industry in a year. They're trapped, and the door's about to slam shut. The countdown is relentless. The numbers are staggering. The auto industry is 7% of India's GDP, 49% of manufacturing GDP, worth $222 billion. A production halt would trigger a recession, not just a slowdown. Over 37 million jobs, engineers, workers, drivers, suppliers, are at risk. Mass layoffs would devastate families and communities. Vehicle exports, worth $25 billion annually, would vanish, destroying India's reputation as a reliable exporter. The rupee would fall, inflation would rise, and imports would become costlier. All this, for want of a magnet costing a few dollars per car. Government tax revenue would plummet, crippling public spending. The fallout would spread to banking, logistics, steel, every connected industry. The entire Indian economic story is at risk. Some are finally waking up. Tata Motors is leading the charge, exploring ferrite magnets, bulkier, less efficient, but locally made, as a stopgap. Simultaneously, Tata is pushing to set up India's first neodymium magnet plant, a massive, risky long-term project. Even if successful, it won't be ready before the 2025 deadline. The government is scrambling, launching incentives for domestic high-tech manufacturing and fast-tracking rare earth mining. But money and will aren't enough. India lacks the deep expertise China spent decades building. Processing rare earths is complex and polluting. Mining ore isn't enough. Refining it into high-purity metals is the real challenge. These efforts are a start, but reveal the depth of India's dependency. The nation is trying to run before it can crawl. Why did China act? It's about power. As the West restricts China's access to high-tech exports, China retaliates with its own leverage: rare earth magnets. These magnets are a choke point for defense, renewables, and autos worldwide. By controlling supply, China pressures rivals and secures its own industry's advantage. It's a long-term play. As the world shifts to green tech, China aims to be the OPEC of minerals. For India, the timing is brutal. China disrupts a competitor's growth and EV ambitions. The era of friendly globalization is over. Supply chains are now weapons. What if India finds no solution by July 31, 2025? Automakers' magnet stockpiles run out, production cuts begin. At first, companies blame generic supply chain issues, but soon, factories go silent. Maruti Suzuki, Hyundai, Tata, Mahindra, assembly lines halt. Mass layoffs and bankruptcies ripple through the supply chain. News fills with images of locked gates and protests. Consumer confidence collapses, car sales plummet, GDP contracts, tax revenues fall, and the rupee devalues. Inflation soars, banks face defaults, and a financial crisis looms. The EV transition dies, India falls behind globally. Make in India is exposed as hollow, dependent on a rival. India's global reputation suffers. This nightmare isn't inevitable, but it's the default if nothing changes. This crisis can be a catalyst for change. It is a wake-up call for India to seize the moment and transform a looming threat into a powerful opportunity for national renewal. India must act boldly and immediately. This is a national imperative. The decisions made today will shape the country's economic and strategic future for decades to come. First, mine and process domestic rare earths. Harnessing our own resources is the foundation of true self-reliance. India has the world's fifth largest reserves but needs urgent investment and partnerships to build refining capacity. Without this, our minerals will remain locked underground and our industries will remain dependent on imports. Treat this like a national defense project. Turn geological wealth into strategic strength. Prioritize security, transparency, and efficiency at every step. Second, build a world-class urban mining industry. Urban mining is not just about recycling, it's about creating a sustainable circular economy. India generates massive e-waste, rich in rare earth magnets. Every discarded device is a potential resource waiting to be tapped. Large-scale recycling can provide a steady domestic supply and insulate against shocks. By investing in advanced recycling technologies, India can reduce dependence on imports and create new green jobs. Third, innovate. Develop motors that don't rely on rare earth magnets. Innovation is the key to long-term resilience. Fund R&D in alternative motor technologies, switched reluctance, synchronous reluctance, and more. Support startups and universities to accelerate breakthroughs. Leapfrog current tech and set a new global standard. India can lead the world by pioneering next-generation solutions. This is a challenge for government and industry alike. Tata, Mahindra, Reliance, and more. Collaboration across sectors is essential to achieve scale and speed. The time for complacency is over. Every day lost is a day closer to vulnerability. Secure your supply chain or surrender your economic future. The world is watching, and the stakes could not be higher. The deadline, July 31st, 2025. This is not just a date, it is a line in the sand for India's ambitions. There is not a moment to lose. The clock is ticking, and the window for decisive action is closing fast. The choice is stark, but the path forward is clear. India can rise to the challenge and secure its future, if it acts now, together, with vision and resolve.